I used to think I was the master of my own time. I had a watch on my wrist, a calendar on my desk, and a 5-year plan for everything. But if life has taught me anything in my 70 years, it's this. Life doesn't care about your plans. It has its own curriculum. For decades, I was a man of business. I built walls, I closed deals, and I always looked toward the next thing. I told myself, and I told my wife, Eleanor, that we were building a future. Just a few more years, Ellie, I'd say. Then we'll build that garden. Then we'll sit on the porch and just watch the world go by. I was so busy building the future that I forgot the present was already happening. Today, I want to tell you how I finally learned the hardest lesson of my life. It wasn't in a boardroom. It was in the dirt. Retirement was supposed to be our grand opening. We had the blueprints for the garden. We had the seeds bought and ready. But 3 months before I walked out of my office for the last time, Eleanor's heart simply tired out. She was gone. Suddenly, I had all the time in the world and no one to share it with. I sat in this big, quiet house, looking at that empty patch of land in the backyard. It was full of weeds and gray stones. Every time I looked at it, it felt like a mirror of my own soul, empty, neglected, and overgrown with regret. I hated that dirt. I hated that it was empty because I had waited too long. One morning, I was sitting on the back steps, staring at nothing, when a ball flew over the fence and landed right in a patch of thorns. A moment later, a small head popped up over the wooden slats. It was Leo, the 7-year-old from next door. "Mister," he called out, "are you growing a jungle back there? It looks like a place where tigers hide." I looked at the weeds. I looked at his messy hair and wide eyes. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a CEO or a widower. I just felt like a human being. "No tigers today, Leo," I said, "but maybe tomorrow." That afternoon, I went to the shed. I found my old shovel, the one I'd bought 5 years ago and never touched. My hands were soft. I hadn't done a day of manual labor in years. Within 10 minutes, I had blisters. Within an hour, my back was screaming. But I didn't stop. As I dug into that earth, something strange happened. Every shovel of dirt I turned felt like I was digging through my own memories. I remembered the late nights at the office when I should have been home. I remembered the vacations I canceled. I felt the weight of every "not now" I had ever said to Eleanor. I started planting roses, not because they were easy, but because she loved the smell. I planted lavender and sage and a willow tree that would one day provide shade I might not even live to see. I wasn't just planting flowers. I was planting my apologies. I was planting my grief. Weeks turned into months. My hands grew calloused. My skin grew dark from the sun. And the silence in my heart started to be replaced by the sound of bees and birds. People started stopping by my fence. They didn't want to talk about the stock market. They wanted to know how to get their hydrangeas to bloom. I realized then that I had spent 40 years trying to control life, when all I really needed to do was nurture it. Looking back at that man who sat in a glass office, I realized he was a millionaire in money, but a pauper in wisdom. Life taught me that the garden isn't a destination. It's not about the day the flowers finally bloom. It's about the dirt under your fingernails. It's about the patience of waiting for a sprout that refuses to show itself. It taught me that we don't own anything, not our houses, not our money, not even the people we love. We are just stewards. We are just passing through. If you are listening to me right now and you are waiting for the perfect time to start your garden, whatever that garden is for you, please don't wait. Don't wait for the promotion, the retirement, or the right feeling. Pick up the shovel today. Forgive that person you've been holding a grudge against. Call that friend you haven't spoken to in years. Start that hobby you think is silly, because the greatest lesson this teacher called life has given me is this. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Thank you for listening to an old man's story. Now tell me, what are you waiting to plant?